DILLIAN the Body Snatcher White here. It's a champ. Big up to Sporting Icon. Subscribe. Otherwise, I might pay you guys a visit.
Hi, my name is Joseph Parker, WBO champion of the world, and you're watching Sporting Icons.
Right, so I managed to watch the press conference for DILLIAN WHYTE and Joseph Parker. Obviously, this will be on July the 28th at the O2 Arena in London. I believe the first tickets will be on sale tomorrow, so go check that out. So, the press conference was good. It was DILLIAN wasn't his usual fiery self in this one. He wasn't insulting Joseph Parker. He wasn't attacking him, and he showed a lot of respect to Parker for actually stepping up and taking this fight, because as DILLIAN said, and of course I was thinking this as well before this press conference, that Joseph Parker, obviously he's coming off of a loss. He's the first guy to take Joshua the distance, but he nonetheless coming off a loss, and obviously there was talk about him taking on Alexander Ustinov, and of course with Bryant Jennings as well. So these were two fights potentially that were just like warm-up fights that he could just come back, get the win, and get the train rolling again. So for him to actually step up and take on the number one WBC ranked opponent in DILLIAN WHYTE, massive props to Joseph Parker for actually doing that. Likewise with DILLIAN WHYTE, because again, this is a dangerous fight for both of them. For DILLIAN WHYTE, obviously he's been waiting around for the WBC. He's had 10 WBC fights, and the last 2 or 3 of them have been eliminators for the WBC mandatory position, and he keeps on getting screwed around. WBC silver champion, and Dominic Brazil gets through the back door because of some kind of WBC corruption. And of course he's asked about this, about WBC, and he said, I don't care anymore about them. So it's one of those situations where it has been confirmed that this could be for the final eliminator for the WBO. Eddie Hearn has put in an application for it, so we'll have to wait and see. But the WBC have been messing DILLIAN WHYTE around. They favour Wilder, no doubt. They want to keep DILLIAN WHYTE away from Wilder, hence the reason why they put up the Luis Ortiz obstacle, when what they should have done was made DILLIAN WHYTE versus Dominic Brazil, number 1 versus number 2 for the mandatory. But they didn't want to do that. They wanted to give DILLIAN WHYTE to Luis Ortiz for a secondary mandatory, which meant that he wouldn't have got a title shot for at least another 18 months. Because there's no way Deontay Wilder would do voluntary. History has proved that with the amount of times that he's turned down that fight, even though it's massive money for him, but he keeps on turning it down. So WBC protecting, and clearly DILLIAN had enough. He did say that he's more than willing to fight Luis Ortiz if Deontay Wilder was going to be a man of his word and say, listen, you beat Ortiz, I will fight you next. He said it a little while ago, about a month or 2 ago. And when DILLIAN said, okay, right, confirm it, and I will fight Luis Ortiz next, he went as quiet as a mouse, didn't hear back. So the other one was Pulev. Actually, before we go into Pulev, you see, I'm already seeing a lot of comments saying that DILLIAN WHYTE ducked Luis Ortiz. Really? Straight up, okay? And I've said this, anybody who's been with me for a while, this is going to come as no surprise. When I've said to you guys before that I believe Joseph Parker would beat Deontay Wilder and would beat Luis Ortiz, okay? So this is a tougher fight for DILLIAN WHYTE than it would have been for Luis Ortiz. Don't forget, Luis Ortiz is getting on in years. He's officially 39, but rumoured to be much older, right? And of course on heart medication, nearly didn't make the fight against Deontay Wilder on the same day because he couldn't pass the medical. They just scratched through it and pushed him through. And that's a fact. That's not a rumour, that's a fact. Hence the reason why Dominic Brazil and Charles Martin were there on standby to step in, because he was failing the medical. But anyway, that doesn't matter. So the other side of it was Kubrat Pulev. His team, because he had 2 teams bidding for this one, where he had his promoter in Team Sauerland bidding. They got nowhere near. Eddie Hearn outbid them. And then he had another one, an American company in Epic Sports Entertainment, where they bid almost double, but then they couldn't come up with the funds. So they couldn't come up with the funds, hence the reason why the fight didn't happen. But I didn't want that fight to happen on the grounds anyway. The fact that it wasn't a title fight, it was for a mandatory, and only the champion gets 75% as IBF mandatory. gets 25%. That's what the rules are. So for a final eliminator to become the mandatory, there is no way on God's great earth that Pulev should have got 75%. I think we can all agree on that one, okay? But equally, it was a very, very tough fight. But for me, you know, I believe Parker would beat Pulev and Ortiz. I do. Not easily, but this is a much tougher fight. And I know a lot of people will disagree. And of course, you're entitled to your own opinion. And most people who disagree are probably Wilder fans, to be fair. Now, back onto the press conference. So as I said, it was pretty respectful. You know, they even shook hands, they shared a joke and what have you when they had the face-to-face, head-to-head. And during the press conference, Parker, again, was very, very warming to Dillian Whyte, as in there was no trash talk from him. There was no real trash talk from David Higgins, although he did come out with a line that was pretty good, where he said, in this fight, can we make sure that we have a neutral referee that isn't from the Italian mafia? Of course, he's hinting at the last referee that refereed Joshua versus Parker, because he kept breaking up the play. Both fighters were frustrated, you could see it. More so Joshua, to be fair, because he kept like looking away and shaking his head at the referee. Go back and watch the fight, you could see that he was annoyed by it. So hopefully we get a good referee in this one. That's for sure. Good judges if it goes to the distance. Of course, Dillian did say that he's preparing to knock out Joseph Parker, but if he's prepared to go the distance, then that's exactly what he'll do, and he'll beat him on points. And he did say to Joseph Parker, leave your running shoes at home. Now, Parker, again, as I said, he was very, very humbled, as he always is. He's a great guy, and as I've always said, I'm a massive fan of Joseph Parker. There's only two people in the heavyweight division that I would root against Joseph Parker for, and you guys can go back and watch the videos when it was all about Joshua versus Parker at the time, and I said that Anthony Joshua was one of those that I will be a Team AJ for against Parker. The only other one would have been Dillian Whyte. I didn't expect it to happen next, so this is twice on the bounce now where I'm not Team Parker. Of course, I like him a lot, but after this one, I guess I'm going to be supporting Parker for forever now after this fight, because he's not taking on AJ or Dillian Whyte again anytime soon. Unless, of course, he beats Dillian Whyte, which hopefully, as I said, that don't happen. Now, it's going to be a good fight. I don't expect either one to be running. That's not really their way. Parker was on his skates a little bit with AJ, but again, he was big and he was strong and very, very clinical. Maybe a bit more powerful or a bit stronger than maybe what Parker realised, because when you get hit in the first round, as with most Joshua opponents, you're like, hang on, this guy can seriously bang. And against Dillian Whyte, he can also bang, but his power is underrated. It really is. Now, could this be a situation where Dillian Whyte, he dispatches an Aussie in his last fight, and now is about to dispatch a Kiwi back to back? So that'd be interesting. Hopefully, yes. So I'm real happy about this fight. I really am. Joseph Parker's trainer, Kevin Barry, wasn't there. He's over in Vegas. So Joseph Parker will now go over to Vegas and start his camp as July 28th. Isn't too far away. So big props to both guys. I'm real happy that these guys signed this fight. It doesn't matter about the titles, the eliminators, nothing. The sanction bodies are corrupt. We know that. They mess everybody about. They can't structure them correctly. They put people in the wrong positions. They give people the wrong mandatory shots and all that kind of thing. So I'm glad that Eddie Hearn, Dillian Whyte said, you know what, IBF, screw you for allowing Pulev to have 75%. And not only that, he couldn't come up with the money. And WBC, screw you. I've been silver champion for a long time now. I've been paying my sanction fees. You should be making me against Dominic Brazil or official mandatory, one or the two. Luis Ortiz should not even be in the equation right now. But you're messing about, so finger up to you. I'm going to go do what I'm going to do. So good on him for doing that. And I'm glad that he done it, to be honest. Of course, I would love the Luis Ortiz fight as well, but I do prefer the Parker fight. And I know a lot of people will be clicking the thumbs down and dropping comments. Man, you don't know boxing because you were saying that Joseph Parker would beat Luis Ortiz, right? Well, maybe you don't know boxing. How about that? Maybe. But you're entitled to your opinion, and I respect it. So Respect mine. So anyway, this is a great fight. Looking forward to it. It looks like it's going to be on box office as well, which means pay-per-view. I will certainly pay for it. Well, I say I will. I'm actually going to try and go. So anyway, drop your thoughts below. Are you looking forward to this fight? Are you excited about it? Is it the right decision for Dillian to stick his finger up at the IBF and WBC and say, no, you don't dictate to me what I do and when I do it when I want to do it. Simple as that. So anyway, drop your thoughts below. Who do you think is going to win? Is it a close fight? Is it an easy one-sided victory for one of them? Let's see, shall we? So anyway, drop your thoughts below. Click that thumbs up, subscribe. Catch you all on the next video.